Hi, it's Pete here from the Purple House at Forth in Tasmania. Greta's not with me today. She's just finishing her last day for her 7-day immersion with 11 other women from all over Australia, and it's been a pretty good week for those women. They have learned a lot and unloaded a lot, and I have had a bit of a theme this week with clients that I thought I'd share with you. It's the amount of clients I see that have lost their gallbladder is amazing. I've had GPs come to me for blood analysis and have a look at their blood under the microscope, and I've asked them, why don't the medical world laser gallstones? Because if anyone's got a kidney stone, they don't take the kidney out, but they'll whip the gallbladder out at the drop of a hat. And we need our gallbladder for proper digestion. So I've had a few women recently that have lost their gallbladder, and their digestive issues are astronomical. They have continued their diet of making energy from sugars, whereas by rights we have been made as human beings to produce about 75% of our energy from fats rather than sugars. Fully breastfed baby is making 75% of its energy from fats. 55% of that energy is made from saturated fats. So we've been lied to a lot in the past. We've been told saturated fats are bad for us, particularly animal fats, but we start our life as human beings making 75% of our energy from animal fats. 55% of that's made from saturated fats. And then when we're put on sugar, when we're put on solids in the Western world, we're turned into sugar burners. The fats are forgotten. We start our children on stewed fruit, mashed veggies, cereal, a little bit of milk and yogurt that's got a little bit of fat in. But apart from that, everything turns to sugar. All carbohydrates turn to sugar, and we become sugar burners. And that's when the rot starts setting in. Any blood sugar above 6 is causing inflammation, and inflammation is at the base of every disease. I also recommend people cut out the sugar of fruit, because about 10 years ago there were a group of scientists found out that our bodies are actually turning fructose to the same things as the bad vegetable seed oils, which are causing most chronic disease in the world. So I recommend people cut those out or minimise them. And quite often people say to me, yeah, but fruit's natural. I beg to differ because maybe 200 years ago, fruit might have been natural and have a lot less sugar in it than what it has today. Fruit has been hybridised to become sweeter and sweeter and sweeter because it's the sugar that sells fruit. If you pick up a grape in the supermarket and trial it and it's sour, I would say that you'd leave those grapes sitting in the supermarket. You wouldn't buy them because it's the sweetness that sells fruit. Sugar, in other words. But anyway, getting back, we turn every teaspoonful of sugar that our bodies turn from carbohydrates, we turn that into stored fat for the oncoming winter, when food used to disappear, but it doesn't disappear anymore. We get hungry, we've got lots of food. We never go into a winter anymore to use those stored fats up. But when we store those fats, one of the first places we store it is in our liver. And a little blob of stored white fat travels down the bile ducts and gets caught in the gallbladder, and it calcifies and then starts causing problems each time the gallbladder contracts. Now, and then you go to the doctor because you've got colicky pain where the gallbladder sits, and they'll do an ultrasound, see that you've got gallstones, take your gallbladder out, and from that time on, you are not giving a gush of bile to neutralise the contents of the stomach that are extremely acidic as they enter the small bowel. The acid in the stomach is the same as, similar to what vultures have in their stomachs, but it's the same as an acid bath that drug cartels get rid of their opponents' bodies in. That's the strength of the acid in our stomachs. But the small bowel likes to be neutral pH, neither alkaline or acid. And the way it overcomes that or neutralises that stomach acid is the bottom sphincter at the stomach lets out a tiny little bit of food at a time. The sphincter opens and closes, and every time that sphincter opens and closes, the gallbladder gives a good gush of concentrated bile that races down. That's alkaline, pH of 9. Meets a pH of less than 2, can be less than 1 sometimes. And it's like pouring vinegar on bicarb soda. If you've ever done that and watched the chemical reaction that follows, that's what happens just outside our stomach. It neutralises the acid, blows the food to smithereens, and then the small bowel's nice and happy, can take all the nutrients it likes for our body to perform properly. Gives us the nutrients we need to thrive. When that gallbladder is removed, we don't get that gush of bile happening. So the stomach contents remain too acid, and that will cause peristalsis to happen in the bowel, and the body says, get this out of here as quick as you can before it burns the inside of the bowel. So it either gives loose bowel actions, diarrhea, or if it can't get it out the south gate, it'll regurgitate it back up through the stomach to get it away from the small bowel, to prevent the small bowel burning. Now that acid also will kill all your microbiome, all the good gut bacteria. They'll be sizzled. And that microbiome is one of the most important parts of us that we need. It's as vital as any of our vital organs. It's vital as your lungs, your liver, your heart, your kidneys. It's extremely important. 80% of our immune system belong to it. 90% of the serotonin, our happy hormones, are produced in a nice happy gut, full of good intestinal bacteria. Now, if we haven't got that gallbladder neutralising the stomach acid, they're all gone. They're all killed. And candida starts to grow and becomes a problem, goes through the gut wall and has a lot of toxins associated with it. When we haven't got our gallbladder, we rely almost totally on sugars for energy because we have trouble digesting fats. So the people that come to me, I have enabled them to improve their digestion dramatically. So it'll never work perfectly because we need our gallbladder for our digestion to work perfectly, but you can improve it a lot. And because I had these few people this week, there was a bit of a theme. I thought I'll get out there and tell other people who have lost their gallbladder, because there are a lot that you can do a lot about it. Now, I recommend, I haven't got I forgot to bring the ox bile in, but I recommend people supplement with extra bile salts with every meal for the rest of their life to digest the fats properly. And we've read articles suggesting that women over 40 would benefit from supplementing with extra bile salts anyway. But I've found out from clients that when you take the ox bile, the extra bile salts, at mealtime, you need fats, you need to be eating fats to tolerate them. Quite often people have come back to me and said, I can't tolerate them. They give me explosive diarrhea straight after the meal. So I always give people a trial of the bile salts, but they must have fats at mealtime so they won't cause that explosive diarrhea. The other thing I recommend is to get your own bile flow going as good as it can. So that'll trickle down from the liver, keep trickling down, and it neutralises the acid in the bowel. And that is achieved with beet flow. Beet flow has the ability to dilate the bile ducts so the bile will flow properly. And I recommend also an enzyme for everyone who comes to me, because they actually turned my life around from not tolerating foods. A vet introduced me to enzymes, and I could tolerate anything after I started those enzymes. But the enzyme I recommend someone who's lost their gallbladder is called Digestive. It has all the range of enzymes to help digest every type of food, including lipase for fats, but it also has an alkalizing effect, or has something in it to help alkalize the small bowel as the stomach contents leave the stomach into the small bowel. So they are the enzymes that I'd recommend people without a gallbladder have. One each meal, supplement with extra bile salts each meal, and have beet flow. It says on the bottle 1 a day, but it doesn't do any good at 1 a day. You need 1 3 times a day. And then the other thing those people particularly need to do, because they've wiped out their good microbiome, their good intestinal bacteria, need to supplement and rebuild that good bacteria. And the one I recommend for a lot of people is called Synthol. It's one we have stocked since 2006, I think, and it is specifically to help combat candida. It has spore probiotics that heal and seal the gut 50% better than any other probiotic, and it's also got an acid enamoured capsule, so it'll open in the intestines, not in the stomach. It'll withstand the stomach acid. So if you're having trouble with your digestion, which you would have been having before you had your gallbladder out, but it probably got worse after you had your gallbladder out, come and see me. Come and see me and we can discuss what you need. But those 4 things: beet flow to get your own bile flow going, extra bile salts to help digest your fats at mealtime, but ensure that you have fats to eat at the same time as you have them. Then Digest, the enzyme to help digest every type of food, particularly has an alkalizing effect on the small bowel for those who have lost their gallbladder. And then a good probiotic, particularly with spore-forming bacteria. They withstand the acid in the stomach. They'll also withstand antibiotics. So they're a good probiotic to have if you're needing antibiotics, but they withstand the stomach acid and really heal and seal the gut well. And they help get rid of candida systemically. They've got a systemic enzyme to help gobble up foreign materials all throughout your body. I hope you found this interesting. I thought, because it had been a theme through the week a bit, Grada was busy enjoying teaching for 7 days her immersion, miracle method immersion. That'll be coming up again in June. So if you've missed out the last 2 times, she's had 2 amazing groups, and she'll have another one in, I think it's end of May, June sometime. It's 7-day immersion. If you're on the mainland, you can come, you can book early and book one of our accommodation places so you can stay on the property. And if you know some of the women that have been, they'll really be recommending that you come, because I've had such a transformational time. Okay, hope you enjoyed this, and if you're missing a gallbladder, please come and see me for a diagnostic session, and I'll explain everything what you need to do to improve your digestion, improve your life, so you're not just surviving, but you go into a thriving pattern in your life. And hope you have a good week, and we'll see you next week. Okay, bye.